We've got details of these a bit more coming up in the next 20 minutes if you spend your time with me. Remember, we are live on DSTV channel 279. Let's begin from here. One person is reported dead while 3 others were critically injured after an exchange of gunfire between residents of Caraga in the northern region and military personnel. This follows an attempt by military operatives to arrest a newly enslaved chief who is said to be the regent of Caraga. TV3 sources in Caraga revealed that the military stormed the palace of Adam Sumani, a self-imposed regent of Caraga, to arrest him, but were faced with fierce resistance from his supporters, leading to the exchange of fire. All 4 people sustained various degrees of gunshot wounds and were rushed to the Caraga Government Hospital, where they were referred to the Tamale Teaching Hospital, after which the 14-year-old senior high school student died. There has been a long-standing chieftaincy dispute in Caraga between the Yarnes choice of Caraga chief and another person, Mahama Sumani. Following the death of the self-imposed Caraga chief, Mahama Sumani, his subjects on Friday, March 22, encamped his son, Adam Sumani, as a new regent of Caraga. Security were moved into the community to stop the encampment. The Caraga community is currently tensed. Well, our Northern Regional correspondent will keep tab on this very matter and give us an update in our subsequent bulletins. Meanwhile, security analyst Dr. Adam Bona says the death in the Caraga conflict was needless and could have been avoided. He says that security agencies should not be selective in the various chieftaincy conflicts in the country. Take a listen.
This confrontation could have been prevented because then the security agencies don't install chiefs in this country. The chieftaincy institution has a mandate to regulate the chieftaincy institution and the traditional authority institution in this country. And so once they fail to prevent the recent, enskinment, then all they should have done should have used was to use dialogue. And they failed and attempted to use force. And we know that the use of force in chieftaincy issues has not worked in this country. And so I would go back to the offensive issue. The offensive issue in the Ashanti region is still raging. Others are daring the authority of the Ashanti Hene. Don't we have the military or the national security in the Ashanti region? Why have they not used force? And so the selective application of the use of force in this country is what probably is leading to all these unnecessary deaths that sometimes, because they've done this large deployment, has that prevented that the death we have seen in the Caraga area? No. And so let's always attempt to use dialogue first instead of using force.
And away from that, President Akufo-Addo's delay in awaiting verdicts from suit challenging the anti-LGBTQ bill may be over. This is because South Day Member of Parliament Roxanne Nelson Dapiamakpo is seeking to have the High Court compel the President to receive the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill.
Intensifying for calm heads to prevail over the seeming rift between the executive and the legislature over the anti-LGBT bill, the NDC minority have taken new steps in seeking to compel the president sign the bill. South Dai MP Roxanne Nelson Dapiamakpo has filed fresh legal processes to compel President Akufo-Addo sign the anti-LGBT bill, while also seeking to restrain the recently reassigned ministers of state from performing their roles. The NDC MP in his latest suit at the High Court wants an order of mandamus directed at the Speaker of Parliament to present the bill to the President of the Republic of Ghana. He is praying the High Court for an order directed at the President to receive the bill, and then an order directed at the President to either sign the bill or indicate his inability to do so within 7 days of receipt. On his Supreme Court suit restraining the approval of President Akufo-Addo's ministers, the MP is seeking an amendment which now will injunct and restrain reshuffled ministers from performing their functions. Even as the legal suits continue, Director of Legal Affairs for the NDC, Eluji Tamako, believes the Council of State must seek to resolve the current impasse.
Is it not strange that the Attorney General will be writing this kind of letters to the Speaker of Parliament? There's crisis. You want to get out of the crisis. Do you put more petrol? You don't do that. In the superior wisdom of the framers of the Constitution, There is a reason why the Council of State is made up of elderly people, so that when we have some of these crises, they can intervene. I think this is the finest opportunity for them to demonstrate the capacity to resolve this raging issue between Parliament and the executive arm of government.
Well, in more news this morning, President Akufo-Addo has announced the distribution of 1.3 million tablets to senior high and technical and vocational training students nationwide to improve digital education as part of the Ghana Smart Schools project. 100 smart schools are also to be constructed across the country, with the first 30 expected to be completed this year.
The Ghana Smart School project aims to enhance senior high and TVET education in Ghana by providing teaching and learning management systems, digital content, and electronic devices. The initiative is aligned with the Education Ministry's digitalization strategy and preparing students for the fourth industrial revolution.
Time is ticking so far for Ghana and the rest of the world to achieve the targets set in the Sustainable Development Goals. And for us in the education arena, we have only the next 6 years to ensure inclusive and equitable quality education and produce lifelong learning opportunities for all. And I'm happy to report that we are on course in achieving this target.
President Akufo-Addo said government is committed to promoting effective digital education.
The tablets are fitted with digital contents to aid research, teaching, and learning. At the tertiary level, governments academic work. Government is convinced that the next phase of free SHS enhancement will be propelled by digitalization.
Distribution of the tablet is expected to begin immediately through the Ministry of Education offices across the country.
And this is not the first time a project to provide ICT tools for students has been launched by government. The following report examines past projects and scrutinizes sustainability of the latest one launched by President Akufo-Addo yesterday.
The Akufo regime, the one laptop per child policy was launched. The policy targeted a total of 2.9 million pupils in public basic schools across the country. An allocation of 3 million Ghana cedis for the purchase of 10,000 laptops from the One Laptop Per Child Association Incorporated in the USA was made. It was made free for every school-going child in public schools from class 1 to 6 in conformity with Ghana's policy of free basic compulsory education. President J. Akufo later renamed the Computer for Every Child project after Mr. Banredu, the then finance minister, posthumously for the immense role he played to bring the project to fruition. The Mills Mahama regime also implemented the Better Ghana Laptop project. Government entered into an agreement with RLG Communications for the supply of laptops. President Mahama announced the distribution of 400,000 laptops under this policy. As at August 2013, 50,000 laptops had been distributed under the project. In 2017, however, the Auditor General's report flagged the project suppliers RLG asking for a refund of 6.3 million Ghana cedis for the non-supply of all the products under the agreement. The Executive Director of the Institute for Education Studies, IFEST, Dr. Peter Pate Anti, is of the view that government should leverage on the lessons learned from the failures of previous projects to ensure the sustainability of this new policy.
My only challenge being that we've been doing this for some time now, as you recounted from President Kufuor's time, the Banredu one student laptop up to President Mahama, and then what we are doing now. I just believe that we should maybe have learned something from these projects and find out why these projects did not live up to their expectation. I got the opportunity to review President Mohammed's one laptop policy. One of the things that came out clearly was that at that time that they were sharing, it ended up in the hands of party people within the various tertiary institutions. So normally, when you don't have a proper framework to deliver some of these policies, it doesn't matter the good intentions that you have. Its implementation becomes problematic, and then it will not last a longer.
Well, if you just tuned in, you're watching the first news bulletin of the day right here on TV3 on New Day. More news this morning. The Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, insists there's no need for a load shedding timetable, saying the demand is equivalent to wishing evil for the country. He has been reacting to assertions of a return to constant power outages, popularly referred to as doomsday. Take a listen.
The power disruptions have caused major concerns for the public over the past weeks. Agencies responsible for producing electricity have been accusing one another for being the cause of the outages. The Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh, on the sidelines of an event in Kumasi, insisted that the current power situation is better than it was under the erstwhile NDC administration. He maintains that demands for a load-shedding timetable are equal to wishing evil for the country.
If you are comparing 4 years, MPP administration, energy sector is 300 times better than Jomama.
But we are still experiencing doomsday.
Nobody has said we haven't. I'm just saying it's far much better than Jomama ever did.
You do admit that there's doomsday.
That is the word you used. I have never used that word. I promised you that we are going to work on it. And it's not a work that is a single event. It's a process. And we'll continue to work on it for the energy sector to become better.
The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission has ordered the electricity company to rectify its financial and operational discrepancies or prepare to face sanctions.
Have you heard of calls for a timetable?
Ask those who want to bring it. They should bring the timetable. If there is, I haven't seen any timetable. So
but people are calling for it.
Say bring a timetable. So what do you mean? The ECG says that there is no timetable coming. Why do you want to bring a timetable? What purpose? Why would somebody get up and wish evil or bad for the country? Were you in Ghana under Jomama? Did you live in this country under Jomama? Did you live in this country under Jomama?
When that was the Energy Minister, Dr. Matthew Opoku Prempeh. And now, the flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party, Dr. Mahmoud Bamia, says he will import solar power components into the country, aiming to lower electricity costs for Ghanaian businesses. The Vice President gave the assurance when he met with the Council of the Indigenous Business Association, Cyber, in Accra.
Dr. Mahmoud Bamia met with council members to discuss challenges faced by the informal sector, including high electricity tariffs and import duties, and the lack of a stimulus package for manufacturing companies.
Adia so ha a dream pan say electricity ne bono akosoro kakra. Enye sa enti ube ye refrigeration business na wan hwe yi na wa beboka. Enti me di adwin foforo eba as far as generation of electricity, but with the solar power, 2,000 megawatts of solar power, Ghana. We are going to inject 2,000 megawatts. 2,000 megawatts.
What is worrying is that the cost of electricity is affecting businesses. So I am going to inject 2,000 solar power, and that will reduce the cost of electricity.
On tariffs and import duties, the Vice President said he will roll out a flat tax system for businesses in the informal sector.
Tax system be a for businesses in individual nipa Ghana.
I will introduce a new tax system for all businesses called flat tax system. At the end of every year, whether 10% or profit of 100 cedis, we will calculate the tax for you to pay.
And now let's delve into the health sector, shall we? The protest by nurses and midwives over increased license verification charges has been halted following a meeting with the Health Ministry, Ghana Registered Nurses and Midwives Association, and the Nursing and Midwifery Council. The parties have reached an agreement to reduce the charges previously increased from 550 cedis to 3,000 cedis. Also in the meeting were the caretaker minister, Esther Owusu-Ekofo, and the minister-designate, Dr. Bernard Okoboy. All parties resolved to have a reduction in the charges, which have increased from 550 cedis to 3,000 cedis.
No, I'm not sharing any figure with you at the moment. The important thing is that this meeting has had an understanding that there is need to reduce the fee. All parties understand this clearly, and that is good for us. And it will be left with the ultimate entity, which is Parliament, to give approval for any new fee that is reached in terms of how the discussions go at the board level.
The Nursing and Midwifery Council is expected to hold a meeting to bring closure to the matter.
We have seen that over the months and years, even at the level of the Ministry of Health, clearance forms that you need to pick and start the process, the price has been increased over time. We think this is an unfair practice because it looks as if only nurses are having to pay for this clearance form, and we think it's very discriminatory. And as part of these discussions, we are also making the ministry aware that it must review that policy and cut it off totally.
Many have tagged the hike in the charges as one with the intent to deter nurses from leaving the country in search of greener pastures. This is the reaction from the Health Ministry.
Government is trying to expand the health infrastructure system, expand the health base by achieving universal health coverage. So what will be the essence if you finish with that and you don't have your nurses, or you cannot bilaterally train your nurses as well? So being it as it may, we have nurses who want to go out and nurses who even want to come out to come and work with us. The issue they raise is as a result of operational costs, which was even tabled before the Nurses Association. And we believe that when they go and come back, there's going to be a lot of review.
The nurses and midwives have, however, been advised to stay put whilst negotiations take its course, hoping for a desired outcome. What that means is that the protest, which has already commenced by the wearing of red bands and subsequent withdrawal of OPD services, have been put on hold. George Quinnin, TV3 News, Accra. Well, the board of the Nursing and Midwifery Council will be having a meeting on the back of the license charges, and we will be staying on that and update you in our subsequent bulletins. But in business, the cost of borrowing is expected to remain relatively unchanged. This is because the Monetary Policy Committee of the Bank of Ghana has kept its key lending rate unchanged at 29%. Addressing the media, Governor Dr. Ernest Addison attributed the decision to upside risks to inflation.
If you look at the IMF projections, if you read it carefully, you will think that most of the things will improve after 2025, where we may return to the pre-COVID levels, i.e. the excellent economic performance in 2017, 2018, and 2019. We may return to those levels after 2025. The reason we know, the money itself is being given to us in tranches, and so you don't expect a full impact of a program whose financing is being given to you in tranches. And so when we have accumulated all the funds and improved the economy, things will be better. But for now, let's deal with the 13 to 17%, even though it's still high, but at least it's better than the 2022 figure of 54%.
And now the abandoned Meridian Hotel building in Tema is virtually hanging due to the theft of iron rods from its pillars. Joseph Armstrong Gold Alogba reports the 10-story dilapidated structure poses a significant threat to residents of the harbour city.
From a distance, the 10-story structure looks like an uncompleted building, but closer view of it tells a different story. It is a place that many residents have now turned into their refuse dumping ground and a place of open defecation. Many years ago, it used to be a household name, facilitating the economic boom in the industrial port city of Tema. Having its name placed in the divestiture book of the state, A foreign firm is said to have been given the green light for ownership and operation. Many years on, the one vibrant and historic Meridian Hotel remains a den of destitutes and persons suspicious character. The 10-story structure is in a total skeleton as the pillars and joints holding it continue to deteriorate. More worrying is how the main pillars holding the structure has been cut off by some unknown persons.
This is one of the main pillars holding this storage building, and people are beginning to cut the iron rods that are inside these pillars. From here down, all these iron rods have been cut, and it cut across almost all the main standing pillars holding this particular structure.
Some residents explain scrap dealers do come around at night to seal the iron rods in the pillars.
Scrap boys, they used to come here to come and cut the iron rods.
Last time they came and beat the security man here because of the iron rods. The security man was down there, then they came, the security man didn't allow them to bring the iron rods down. So it turned to a fight, then they took the security man. So since that day, we haven't seen any security around here.
There is a danger the structure can give away anytime, endangering the lives of residents living close by. The Tema Tourism Regional Director, George Nkrumah, said all efforts to get the appropriate authorities to deal with the situation has not been successful.
I've been trying myself to actually get who and who is there. It is only when you attempt to say, okay, I'm going to paint let's use the word paint a part of the hotel, that you get a law firm right to you, not even the individual.
This is obviously an avoidable disaster awaiting to strike should state authorities fail to take an immediate action on what to do with this building. Joseph Armstrong, Gold Alugbe TV3, Thema.
Well, on that note, we end the morning news. For more news updates, just log on to our website. It's 3news.com. Thanks for watching. It's always a pleasure coming your way. My colleagues are standing by to continue with the morning show. Have a good morning.